Hello and welcome everybody to the Dental Leadership Summit. I'm very excited to welcome a very special guest, Dr. Anushka Gaglani from Areo Dental. We are here to discuss the amazing success that Areo has been enjoying over the last several years, but also I want to go into greater detail and background of your leadership style, what made you the person that you are today, and the leader that you are today. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Ralph. I really appreciate you having me on here. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
You're very welcome. So, for those of you who are not familiar with Anushka, your organization was last year's winner of the Group Dentistry Now Award, and so I did a little bit of research on that. You and I met several times over the year. Actually, we met in LA earlier this year, and we started talking. You told some hilarious stories on how you became a dentist in the first place. And I will not force you to reveal those stories if you don't want to. But I do, and I'm very impressed with both you and your husband's story of how you're managing your practices, as well as the structure of the DSO, non-DSO group practice that you have, because you're a owner-led or a dentist-led group. So I have a lot of questions about that. I'm so very excited to get into it. So, like I said, before we get into um, the actual questions about the organization, I do want to go into a little bit your background. Whatever you're willing to share and how you got here in 30 seconds, feel free to start.
That's funny. I don't know. I don't know. Crazy. Yeah, actually it's funny. We were sitting together at that leadership conference
Yeah,
and watching the magic show. By the way, you were also very hilarious and it was great getting to know you there. But
thank you.
I wanted to be a dentist since I was 14.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how it played out. And I'm so glad I chose this field. Very, very happy with this industry. What I didn't know when I graduated was that I would end up being a multi-practice owner.
Yeah,
And again, that's just how the universe works. I found my purpose in life and my niche and what I'm supposed to be doing. And I could not be happier to wake up every day and know
yeah,
that I get to do this.
right. Yeah. So, look, I think that comes through when you talk to people about what you do and how you do it. So I want to kind of go back to, so you become a dentist, you go into practice as an associate, and then I believe in 2016 is when you took over with your husband your first practice.
Hmm.
And so the first acquisition, looking back on that, like what were the biggest learning moments you had in that first turnaround? For those of you who don't know, sorry, I should actually explain. You bought a practice that would it be fair to say it was in distress?
It was a distress practice. That
Okay.
actually was our niche for the first few practices.
Okay.
It was a dentist who probably it was a much older dentist. He probably should have sold a few years before.
Okay.
And it was kind of run into the ground. There was a little bit
Hmm.
of a hoarding situation happening. There was a lot, right? Many things I learned. I can't even tell you how many things, but I think the main things, number one is hiring. I
Hmm.
think the way that we hire people, who we hire, has changed a
Hmm.
lot. I will be the first to tell you that we don't have any of the original staff that we had at that office because we
Hmm.
did not know how to hire. We just were like, oh, come on
Oh,
board. And that was it. And now I think generally, of course, we still make mistakes, but generally our hiring process has just gotten way, way better. Um, I think the second mistake was with the contractor not having very set guidelines or, having some sort of fine if they didn't get things done on time, because
hmm.
every day that you're not open, it costs money.
Right.
And that's something that we've learned over time is to find somebody who really has it together and is getting those permits, getting everything done on time.
Yeah.
Um, the third one, I kind of mentioned a little bit of a hoarding situation,
Yeah.
and in the basement there were 30-year-old invoices, 30-year-old dental casts, like all this stuff that was just like, why is all of this still
Wow.
here?
Yeah.
And being a new practice owner, being in debt, having to buy this practice, I remember going in the first 4 weekends and trying to
Hmm.
clean that out. I barely made a dent. I think I got through like 2 inches of stuff. And
Wow.
then I decided, okay, let's just hire someone. And
Yeah.
that's when I kind of learned that it's better to pay somebody and delegate to people that are better at doing those things than me
To find
wasting
their
my
core
time for that.
competency, right?
Yeah. And I think the last thing probably was setting guidelines, right? We did not keep the owner on, we didn't keep the staff on.
Yeah.
They all kind of retired at the same time. But I remember one day practicing, and all of a sudden, my assistant comes to me. I hear a voice in the next op. The owner, the old owner that we bought from, without asking us, had come in and was using our instruments, using all of our things, our materials,
Wait, what?
to deliver a crown or something for a family member. And we were like, like we're okay with this, right? With prior notice and with
Right.
letting us know because you don't own this practice anymore.
Right.
So that was quite interesting. So those were definitely some learning experiences.
Huh. I mean, look, there's so many follow-up questions I have, but I just, I mean, look, I didn't know that there was like a hoarding thing going on like that in itself. We could probably spend a half an hour on, but I do have a follow-up question to your first point, right? Like of you, frankly, admitting right away that your hiring practices have changed and that you have now like kind of created a much deeper understanding and or also a structure of how you hire. Can you kind of shed light on that one first, please?
Yeah, so one of the things is that first of all, leadership skills. I think we're all
Yeah,
very aware that in dental school, there's nothing taught about. People talk about business classes. That's
yeah,
not even the most important thing. Leadership skills. You don't have to be a business
yeah.
owner to be able to develop those leadership skills. So that's something that we really have to hone in on. But that leads directly into hiring practices. I think that if people cannot see the vision, you're not going to
Hmm.
get the best people. And it took me
Yeah,
time to learn how to speak in a way that people understood the vision, that they actually believed in the vision. That's
yeah,
the first thing. The second thing is it's the warm body syndrome. And I think as dentists, we're very, very prone to that. It's, oh my gosh, the hiring market's so tough. Let's just like get anybody in there, slap somebody in there, right?
right.
What we realized over time is that the culture really, really erodes. So we came up with a set of core values, and
Hmm.
really how we hire now is we really look at those core values. And of course, sometimes it's hard to assess people, right? In the beginning, a few
Yeah,
months in, it is hard to assess. But as soon as you know that somebody absolutely is not a core value fit, we've got to move quite fast on
right.
making that change. So we
Yeah.
use something we run an entrepreneur operating system, which is pretty common now, pretty popular. But we use the people analyzer tool, and with that, we
Okay.
analyze people's core values. Do they fit the core values? It's kind of a plus minus system. And then the second thing is GWC, get it, want it, capacity for it. So there are two ways we look at the core values, or is this the right person? And
Yep.
then the GWC, are they in the right seat?
Right.
And that's kind of how we make our hiring decisions, as well as if we do have to terminate employment.
Right. Yeah. So I think that you said it in a slightly different way, but I think what a lot of people don't realize is that you are in the people business.
Yes.
You're in the people business as an employer to your employees. You're in the people business with patients. So while your training is extensive on the clinical side, your daily exposure is you have to be able to be a strong communicator to succeed. And I think that what you embody is exactly that, right? Like is your willingness to go like, look, I want to go to a place where the people like me and I like the people. And
Mhm.
and that will tell you a lot. And more importantly, if you hire those people that want to be here, your chance of succeeding and of them doing what you need them to do is probably a lot higher.
Absolutely. And I love that you said that. For us, we're really, really big on, do people want to be here? Even if they
Right.
don't necessarily have the skill, it's skill versus will. Do they have the will? Do they
Yes.
believe in Aereo? Do they believe in us? If they
Right.
do, then we're going to give them whatever training we can to get them there.
Right.
And but on the flip side, that's the hardest person to let go of, is somebody who really fits the core values but just
Yeah.
doesn't ever get it. That's really the hardest person
Right.
to me to let
But
go of.
but you also said you have a willingness to like acknowledge that someone may not be in the right seat, i.e. in
Correct.
the right position, to go like, hey, but we do think there's something over there.
Yes.
Look, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I am curious, like when that happens, like that takes real skill, right? Like, so can you give us an example or something along those lines?
Yeah, most definitely. There's someone we had as a practice manager. We don't call them managers, we call them practice leaders because we want
Okay.
them to understand that they're leading the practice and they're leading the
Yeah.
people. I feel like to us the word manager it's a strange connotation. I feel like people start to think that they're the boss of somebody and they can kind of,
Yeah.
so we use the term practice leader, but we did have a practice leader and she had a very difficult time leading her team.
Mm.
She, had turnover. She was very soft spoken. Patients kind of ate her alive. The team ate her
Yeah.
alive, and she was struggling. And we really spent quite a bit of time with her. But eventually, we kind of decided, that this is probably not the right role. And this was a couple of years in. It was almost 2 years in. We
Yeah.
gave her plenty of time, but she was just too she was too nervous to manage that many people, and we
Yeah.
understood that, even though she had the skills. So eventually, what happened is we transitioned her into. She always said she liked insurance.
Mm.
And we recently started our concierge center a few
Okay.
months ago with billing, insurance, all the centralized services. And she's now our main insurance coordinator. And she is thriving in that role, thriving. It's
Right.
amazing because where she was nervous to talk to people before and hold them accountable, she has no problems doing it in this role. And it's
Right.
amazing. She's a great core
Oh,
values fit. And now she's in the right seat as well.
yeah. So she can thrive, and probably she probably feels a lot better too.
She does. Yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing. It is that transition from for you being a dentist to being a leader of an organization. It's like I remember this is that there's a difference between when you go into when you're being promoted into or when you start your own business.
Mhm.
Um, Being friends with your employees is probably the worst thing to do. There is such a fundamental difference between being friends versus being friendly and being caring and having an emotional connection to make sure that they are well taken care of is, I think, really important. And for you to have like that emotional IQ being so high of saying, hey, you know what, you're a great fit. However, I think you'll be much more. Oh, look at we're
You're saying such
I have
important things.
no idea how this happened. Welcome to my laptop that I don't understand. Like, and I'm the leader of a software company. As like, could it be any worse?
That was great. I really enjoyed that actually.
Happy 4th of July. Not that it is 4th of July today. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that having that or understanding the difference between being friendly and being a leader versus having friends is fundamental, I believe, and you're doing that successfully.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I couldn't agree with you more. Again, one of the things that we struggled with this practice leader is that she would treat everybody like a friend. And we would keep telling her, like, you can't do that.
Right.
And on that same note, it's like, I always cringe a little when people say, like, we're family in this organization. I'm like,
But we are
we're
not.
not. Because the reality is that, I don't know how you are with your family, but I let out, like, I will tell my mom and even my dad and my brother, I will
Yeah.
kind of be fully, with family, you can kind of be a certain way and they'll still forgive you, etc. But in a professional setting, you can't behave that way. Like we have to behave in a professional, elevated way.
Yeah.
And that's why I just don't believe in the family thing. We're here to do a job together
Yeah.
and serve the patients.
I 100% agree. Whenever people say like I treat them like family, like, oh, you pay your mom and dad every Friday? No, you don't. Right? Like there's a certain level of expectations here. I'm glad
Yes.
I'm not the only one who's screwing up today.
My arms went all over.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm a talker with my hands too. I should actually be Italian, the way I talk with my hands. So sorry, I want to switch over to the business side of things. And to me, this is one of those themes for those of you who are coming or are thinking about coming to the Dental Leadership Summit. There is what I think a very positive and really, really incredible transformation happening in the dental industry today, which is the dentist-led group practice model, where dentists are stepping up to be the leaders that they can be. You are one of them, your husband is one of them, and it's so amazing to see that you succeed in an environment that for all intents and purposes is not easy to succeed in, and you're doing it with a plump and great success. So my question to you on this one is, Like, how do you, like, without having private equity, like, so without having like this big old cash account, what advantages or challenges have you guys experienced by frankly bootstrapping your own like growth compared to like a private equity model?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's very kind. Thank you. Really appreciate those words. I think here's the reality with private equity. I think private equity, they come in a lot of dentists, they reach a point, right?
Yeah.
I say so many times that dentists, we are expected to be the CEO while also being the biggest revenue producer. And
Right.
I can't think of other businesses that are scalable where, somebody has to do both of those things. So I think what happens, there comes a stage for most dentists, and you're absolutely right. I think dentists have it in them, and we've
Yeah.
been convinced that we don't. But it's not that we don't, it's that we don't have the time. We have
Yes.
to find a way to create the time, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, what happens is that dentists either decide, you know what, I'm going to maintain status quo, and
Hmm.
they kind of keep the same team, the warm body syndrome, just somebody to kind of maintain, maybe grow 2, 3% a year. Or they say, you know what, this is getting too hard. I don't want to deal with this. It's not worth it. I don't have any
Yeah.
work-life balance, etc. And that's the messy middle. And I find that private equities, that is where they thrive. They
Hmm.
will find the dentists who are in the messy middle,
Yeah.
and that's when they'll bring them
Interesting.
on,
Huh.
right? Um, for us, what we've realized is we've gone through the messy middle. We're in the messy middle, and it's going to be a while before we get out of the messy middle. And we're very aware of that because we're in growth. And when we're in growth,
Yeah.
we're always in the messy middle. Our goal is to continue to push past that and be resilient past that because that's when we know that the value of our organization, not just financially, but also what we can bring to other dentists, to their team
Yeah.
members, it's going to be exponential.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's the biggest advantage that we've had, but it's also a challenge in the same breath because we're having to figure it out again without formal leadership or business education. Lots of
Right.
trial and error,
Yeah.
mentors, etc.
Yeah, so it's really funny that you call yourself in the messy middle. So again, like a little looking forward, like we are actually planning with your husband a workshop at our Dental Leadership Summit as one of the segments, where we're not talking about your messy middle. Like you're doing way better than the messy middle, right? Like you have figured it out, and we want to share this with the world, right? Like and both you and Dr. Raj have gratefully agreed to like share some of your insights here of yes, like the principles that you have and how hard they are, but also the discipline it takes to succeed in that, which I'm assuming is what you're referring to when you say the messy middle, but you're making it look easy.
Again, very kind of you. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely trials and tribulations, right? Everybody goes through
Yeah,
them. It's just about how do we get past them? How do we find a way?
right.
And I kind of enjoy. I think we enjoy the challenge,
Yeah.
and we're kind of rising to it.
Yeah, so you mentioned growth and that you're in a growth phase right now. So how do you balance scaling growth while like maintaining this boutique patient first culture? Like that has to be difficult.
Yeah, I think number one, I think branding, right? Everyone,
Yeah.
there's always this talk of should you brand, like go
Yeah.
branded strategy or non-branded. We chose non-branded. We just felt for us
Hmm.
it was the right fit because it did feel like more boutique-y. I think the second piece is also the dentist. When people start saying, "Oh, I see a new dentist every time I come here," that's never really great. For us, we're very intentional about who we hire. Again,
Mm.
we're not at all going to say we're perfect. We've definitely made the
Yeah.
wrong hires, but for the most part, we tend to retain our dentists. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've had dentists who stayed with us quite a while, 3, 4 years,
Hmm.
and then they moved out of state. One moved to Michigan, one moved to Iowa, and then we've had to let go of a couple. They just were not either a good culture fit or
Yeah.
clinically they just weren't where they were supposed to be. But I think with those two pieces, in place, especially that dentist piece, that's been a big deal for us and a big way to keep that kind of boutique feel.
Yeah, and have that. So how do you see the future then of multi-location ownership? Like how does this evolve? Like how is this dental or sorry, doctor-led group type evolve with both you but also in general? Do you feel that this is a business model? But I mean, I clearly have an opinion on this too, but do you feel like this is a business model that is not just this is going to sound mean, like a tie over, right? Like because it's not, but because I feel it has several years back been people trying it out, and now it's here to stay. Is what my opinion is on it. So how do you feel about your model and how you support it?
Yeah, I think the way in the future is going to be dentist partnerships.
I agree. Yeah.
The reality is that we all know there was money getting thrown around left, right, and center to buy practices, and kind of like the roll ups. And then when the dentist left, suddenly everything would crash and burn.
Yep.
With the way that schools are going now, with the amount of student debt, I don't believe that younger dentists don't want to own. I actually don't think that's true. I think they do want to own. They just don't want to have all the hassle, right? Again,
Yes.
work-life balance. So the only way to do that, to have a piece of ownership while not having to do all the work, is partnering in a
Right.
group. And I think, again, that's the way that it should be. That's the way it should move forward.
Yeah.
Um, Otherwise, again, it's just going to be a bunch of business people owning everything, and we're going to be like hospitals.
Yeah, yeah, and you certainly don't want this. So look, I agree with that model too, and I kind of want to push back because you are in this model as well. Um, um, I know everybody likes to say work-life balance, but can we like all agree like the first 20 years after you get out of college, you're supposed to work hard to like build your career? That's work-life balance all in one. I mean, what did you go for school in the first place if you're not willing to do your job?
Yeah.
So sorry, that may just be me, but like I did that and I love it, right? And I still love it to this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And I found work-life balance in I enjoy working.
Yeah.
That's life right there. Anyway, so I find that work-life balance doesn't mean I only want to work 4 days a week, right? Like it means that you can find fulfillment in a really amazing career
Yeah.
and someone like you who is building a business around patient support, patient health, like that will be work-life balance in my mind.
You're preaching to the choir here. I actually wrote a LinkedIn post a few weeks ago about this. I'm like, there's
Yeah,
there's no such thing, right? Everything is a season of imbalance. Something's going to take precedence. For us, we're in the season. I agree with you. We're in the season of work, and we're going to be in
yeah,
there for quite a while more. Um, if you want to, there's some phrase, some quote, I can't remember exactly what it is, but if you want to do better than the majority of people, you have to do something differently than what they do, right? So if everybody wants this work-life balance where they clock in at 9 and they clock out at 5 and then they
yeah.
get every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, that's totally fine. That's a specific type of personality. Don't expect to make something great out of that.
Right.
That's all that I completely am on the same page as you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so the other thing that you mentioned earlier, I just wanted to say this is about, what dentists are and who you are as a professional, and that there's no hiding. Whenever I see that or when I hear this, is like because I agree with you on that front, and I look at a dentist like if you compare them to others. I don't know if you play tennis, so I play tennis. I love tennis,
Yeah.
and tennis is a amazing sport, like for all the attributes that you can think of. Like it's a very active sport, it's a fun sport, it engages your mind, etc., etc. But what is brutal about tennis, if you hit a day where you suck, where you cannot hit a ball straight, there's no hiding,
Yeah.
right? And that's you as a dentist. And when you mentioned this earlier, when you said, hey, there is this thing where I'm the number one producer and I'm supposed to be the, oh, now I'm giving you the thumbs up. Um, and then now I'm supposed to also be the leader of the organization, but I'm tired because I've been working with patients all day.
Yeah.
That's really hard. I think that's what it reminded me of when you were saying that, right? Like, so that is hard for you to build a business around this by you being the pro athlete of generating all that money. So I think that is a way for me to see that and to understand how hard it is for you guys. Now, my last question for you today is around something, I guess, personal. Your the logo and your name of your business
Hmm.
have a very personal meaning. So how can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, fill us in.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not even super into astronomy or astrology. I'm sorry. We're not even super into that, but we were thinking about, the two of us. How do we merge the two of us? We've got our own podcast, The Filling You In by A Squared. Very, very
Yeah.
dorky because both of our names start with an A, but we're like, for this, how do we merge the two of us? So we thought we'll use our sun signs, Aries and
Uh-huh.
Leo, and that's how we merged it. But actually, we found out too that Aereo means to Mars. And we've really taken that to heart. We're like, how do we do things, kind of like, I know we're not SpaceX and we're not at all claiming to be that. This is dentistry. But, that's kind of their thing is like going to Mars. So how do we do things a little more uniquely and differently and kind of change what the mold is? How do we do
Yeah,
things a little bit outside of that?
yeah,
So it means a lot to us. Like, how do we just be better than average?
yeah. So you heard it here first. You want to open your first dental practice on Mars. I love that. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, here you go. Look, people will need dental care on Mars as well. So maybe
That's right.
we'll experience it in our lifetime. Um, I so want to thank you, Anushka, for taking the time and telling us a little bit about your life and your world. For our listeners and or people who are watching this is like we're very excited to have you guys at the Dental Leadership Summit in October. Um, uh, Housekeeping, October 23rd. We are in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the Grand America Hotel. And like I said, Anushka's husband will have a workshop where we are talking about the business side of the growing dental practices and how to be both efficient, effective, and successful with a with a healthy profit margin. So I'm very excited about that topic and the learnings that our attendees will get there. But thank you so much for sharing your time. I really appreciate it. And good luck in the future.
Thank you so much, Ralph. It was honestly an honor and a pleasure.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.